Light. What is light? Quote, a photon is an elementary particle, the quantum of light and all other forms of electromagnetic radiation. It is the force carrier for the electromagnetic force. End quote. Wikipedia photon article. Photons have no size and are detected as zero-dimensional mathematical points. However, they are also simultaneously waves that extend arbitrarily, possibly infinitely, across the entire universe. Photons travel at the speed of light, the universe's maximum speed, and because of this they experience no time. Photons are therefore eternal. Photons are also massless, which means they are literally immaterial, stuff of mind, ideal. Quote, the massless photon mediates the electromagnetic interaction. End quote. Wikipedia elementary particle article. This means that when one electron scatters off another, a virtual photon is emitted from one electron and is then immediately absorbed by the other. The virtual photon transfers momentum and carries the force from one particle to the other. Light is therefore what gives matter the quality of solidity. Material is everywhere mediated by eternal, immaterial light. Light mediates the electromagnetic force which drives chemistry and ultimately life. Quote, the electromagnetic force, and thus light, plays a major role in determining the internal properties of most objects encountered in daily life. Ordinary matter takes its form as a result of intermolecular forces between individual molecules in matter. Electrons are bound by electromagnetic wave mechanics into orbitals around atomic nuclei to form atoms, which are the building blocks of molecules. This governs the processes involved in chemistry, which arise from interactions between the electrons of neighboring atoms, which are in turn determined by the interaction between electromagnetic force and the momentum of the electrons. End quote. Wikipedia electromagnetism article. Last year, scientists discovered a way to turn light into matter. Quote, the collider experiment that the scientists have proposed involves two key steps. First, the scientists would use an extremely powerful high-intensity laser to speed up electrons to just below the speed of light. They would then fire these electrons into a slab of gold to create a beam of photons 1 billion times more energetic than visible light. The next stage of the experiment involves a tiny gold can called a Hohlraum, German for empty room. Scientists would fire a high-intensity laser at the inner surface of this gold can to create a thermal radiation field generating light similar to the light emitted by stars. They would then direct the photon beam from the first stage of the experiment through the center of the can, causing the photons from the two sources to collide and form electrons and positrons. It would then be possible to detect the formation of the electrons and positrons when they exited the can. End quote. It is fitting that an empty golden room is the crucible where light can be transmuted into matter. The word chemistry comes from alchemy, after all. Einstein's famous equation E equals mc squared, rewritten as E over c squared equals m, says that light's intensity divided by its velocity squared is what we call mass, the basis of matter. Matter is literally made of an immaterial, dimensionless, chargeless substance, light. Matter is light turned inward. Materialism is seen through when you realize that all matter is actually made of and continually mediated by immaterial light. Quote, light as the element with atomic number 0 is entirely compatible with the Big Bang singularity. Hydrogen as the element with atomic number 1 is not. It's self-evident that Big Bang theory implies that material, extended atoms come from immaterial, unextended atoms, i.e. atoms of light. Unextended, dimensionless, massless light atoms can constitute a singularity, the necessary condition for a Big Bang. Extended dimensional atoms with mass cannot be consistent with a Big Bang singularity. They can be produced by a singularity event, Big Bang, but they cannot be part of the singularity, whereas zero atoms, photonic atoms, emphatically can. The introduction of light atoms, zero atoms, into science makes complete sense of the Big Bang at a stroke, and renders it an analytic, scientific, and mathematical event, and not some miraculous random explosion of existence from non-existence as science irrationally claims. One simple change to the head of the periodic table can alter humanity's entire conception of reality, because that change takes science away from empiricism, materialism, and physical dimensional mathematics, to rational idealism and ontological, dimensional and dimensionless mathematics. End quote. From Causation and the Principle of Sufficient Reason by Mike Hockney. By putting light with atomic number 0, together with the full-width periodic table that doesn't break out the Lanthanides and Actinides to save space as is usually depicted, we see the symmetry that light stands alone as the 33rd column, the fountainhead of all matter. Quote, if we consider the word light as a euphemism for the word knowledge, our definition of the word light is then clarified. We then find that light is knowledge, and we are all on the path of true knowledge. Now, knowledge is listed in the dictionary, comes from the French word knowen, to know. 1. Having understanding gained by actual experience or practical experience. 2. The state of being aware of something or of having information. 3. The act of understanding, clear perception of truth. Or 4. Something learned and kept in mind. If we interchange the word knowledge for the word light, we have the true Rosicrucian meaning. If light is knowledge, and knowledge is born intuitively, then the path of true light is not outward, but inward. Light is knowledge, knowledge is truth, truth is light. End quote. Ronald Kanata, 1971. Light may have a role beyond mediating the electromagnetic force in biology in terms of biophotons. It's controversial, but plant and animal cells appear to communicate with light. I think we will understand this better once people develop optical computers. Quote, how do I know where creation comes from? I look inside myself and see it. End quote. Lao Tzu. Excuse me if I make light of enlightenment. There's a graphic here with a number of equations equated to different religious and spiritual traditions. It's called Ontological Math 3.3. Here's a quote by George Gamow. Quote, there was a young fellow from Trinity who took the square root of infinity, but the number of digits gave him the fidgets. He dropped math and took up divinity. And then there's a graphic here that has the 33 classes of atoms all arranged here with light in the center and showing a graphic of a nebula which looks a lot like the all-seeing eye. It's called Symmetry 33, and I made that.